U.S. intelligence analysts have once again concluded that Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapons program. Based on U.S. media reports, the latest assessments by American spy agencies have revealed no hard evidence that Iran is trying to build a nuclear bomb. The New York Times has cited unnamed U.S. officials as saying that the verdict is the consensus view of 16 U.S. intelligence agencies. The report comes as the EU and the U.S. have imposed unilateral sanctions on Iran over its nuclear energy program. Tehran says its nuclear program is peaceful and is directed toward medical and energy applications only. For more on that story, we're joined by international lawyer Mr. Franklin Lam, who's with us via satellite from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Mr. Lam, welcome to the program. More reports of a no nuclear dimension to Iran's nuclear program. Tell us more about this recent revelation.
Well, I think it's very, very significant that you have the national intelligence community, that's the name of it, as you know, made up of the 16 agency, as I understand, unanimously made a judgment that there was no hard evidence against Iran. That's never been done. And that gives, in a sense, the imprimatur of the Obama administration and the government on that issue. Therefore, of course, it raises questions. What about these sanctions? Does it mean we're going to scrap those sanctions? What about the EU? The only reason the EU put on the sanctions was because the Americans told them to do it and that there was all of this evidence. If the government is again, but with more detail now apparently, admitting that there's no hard evidence, why the sanctions? Does it mean, as some suspect, that it never was the real target, but that regime change is the target? So I think the American people, and a few in the Congress, Kucinich among them, will raise this issue and demand that these sanctions be scrapped. I think another reason why they gave this story so quickly to the New York Times, frankly, is to send a signal of their displeasure with Israel. You know, Israel, Netanyahu is coming on March 4th, I think it is, to Washington, and he's going to bring new evidence of Iranian projects for nuclear weapons, and he's going to say that this is based on the Mossad. But this time, he's not going to be taken seriously. I think the Obama administration has decided, as Panetta, the defense minister, said, that Iran is a rational actor. Everybody in Washington who will admit it knows that Israel is not a rational actor, and they're the danger, you know, the wild card in this whole exercise. So I think that that's another reason why they released it at this point. And I think when Obama meets Netanyahu, it's going to be tense, because as Abe Foxman, ADL, Anti-Discrimination League, revealed a report showing a poll that 52% of American Jewish voters, who usually will vote 85% Democrat, 52% will support a Republican. That means Gingrich, Romney, Santorum. These people are kooks on foreign policy. But they're willing to do that because, as Foxman said, revealed, never in the history of the state of Israel has a second-term presidency been potentially more dangerous than Obama. They don't trust him, they don't like him, and we're going to see what happens when Netanyahu goes there in March. But I find it's very significant, and we'll see now what the Americans do. If they don't repeal those sanctions now, once they've made this decision, it's very close to an act of war, isn't it? So how will they justify keeping these sanctions starting today?
All right, many thanks. International lawyer Mr. Franklin Lam from Beirut.
Sorry to go on. Pleasure.